Good to see everyone after an off week. I guess the term that comes to my mind when I watch Alabama on video is impressive. Impressive football team. I think the statistics, the body of work speaks for themselves. You know, when you talk about them, first of all, defensively, first in total defense in our conference, I believe sixth overall in the country, first in rush defense, giving up only 70 yards per game, giving up 16.7 points per game. And the thing that's impressive is 16 takeaways, and obviously 4 of them have resulted in touchdowns. Lead the conference with 12 interceptions, and number one in our conference in pass defense efficiency. And when you look at a defense, a lot of times they may be number one in one end of the categories in terms of running the football, but then on pass, it's another element with them. Very, very balanced defense. Again, very, very disruptive. Offensively, just about 200 yards rushing per game. They've only given up 8 sacks. And we all know about Derrick Henry. He's a great back. But they have playmakers. I think they have individuals on their football team from the tight end position to the wide receiver position that probably don't get as much credit as they deserve. But top 10 opponent, great football team, but also a great opportunity for our football team going on the road in a great environment. So I'll answer any questions you may have.
Start with Steve.
From what you've seen of Alabama on film going through the season, what's the difference in them since the Ole Miss game? It seems they've taken their game to another level. I just don't know if you see any difference from their early season film to the recent stuff.
Well, first of all, they turned the football over a lot, which was very uncharacteristic of them in the Ole Miss game. So that presented many opportunities for Ole Miss, and Ole Miss did a good job of taking advantage of those opportunities. But just a high level of consistency in their play, and they're playing the same way they've played. They just have taken care of the football better, and they're playing with a lot of confidence right now. I believe 4-game winning streak, 2 against top 10 opponents, and having to go on the road and beat 2 top 10 opponents as well. So they have a ton of confidence right now, and deservedly so.
Seth, then Jimmy Himes, then Mike Strange.
Coming off the bye week, what's the overall health of the football team right now heading into the Alabama game?
Well, the bye week occurred at the appropriate time. We fully anticipate everyone back. I'll know a little bit more today when we practice. Jason Kroom is still out, so he will not be available for the Alabama game. But everyone else, we fully anticipate being ready to go. But I'll know a little bit more health-wise on Wednesday.
Butch, what are your thoughts on Jacob Coker?
You know what? I think he's playing winning football. He's managing their offense. They're playing to his skill set. I thought the last couple weeks he was able to make plays with his legs when the pocket collapsed, but he's doing a good job of managing it. They do a great job of creating one-on-one matchups out in the perimeter with their wide receivers, and again, benefited by a very, very talented offensive line, big, physical. 2 very, very solid, 2 very good running backs. So he has a lot of individuals around him, but he's managing their offense and he's performing very well. He's performing at a high level. I see a confidence in him, and it shows.
Mike on the left.
Way over here, Butch. With the chance to have the bye week and kind of the self-scout and all that, is there any area, offense, defense, whatever, that you kind of reset and say, let's try something different?
Well, not something different, just continuing to improve on our fundamentals and our details. Really no secret. We have to be a much better tackling football team. You know, and it's all about winning your space, you know, winning your area. And that's what spread offenses do to you, is they force one-on-one matchups, not only just in the pass game, but in the tackling game. So being a much better, efficient tackling defense, more turnovers, more takeaways, especially, you know, it's all about impacting the quarterback. And you can impact the quarterback more than just sacks. It's hits on the quarterback. It's batted footballs. The other element or area that we talk about is generated penalties, you know, forced penalties. Great defensive linemen in their strain and their effort to get to the quarterback, they generate holding penalties. With movement, you generate chop blocks, all those things. So we've really focused on the fundamentals and the fine details. Again, offensively, I believe we're up with 18 explosive runs of 20 yards or more as compared to 11 at this time last year. So we've done some very good things offensively. I think if you look at where we were a year ago at Game 6, I think John wrote an article about that, is the monumental difference in terms of offensively, in terms of big plays, our scoring output, all that, protecting the passer, all those things. But it's still generating more big plays. We have to find a way to generate more big plays in the pass game. And even though our run game is up, generate more as well. But I just think overall high level of consistency.
Patrick Brown, then Danny Parker in the back.
Butch, obviously Dobbs made his debut down there in 2013. What do you recall about that game from your standpoint, and I guess the nerves or level of confidence you had throwing him in there after he kind of, I guess, was the third or fourth guy for most of that year?
Yeah, that was the year we were really going through. That position was plagued with injuries, and we knew going in that Justin was banged up a little bit in his hand. And so Josh was one snap away, and I thought for the most part a true freshman on the road, first extensive action, performed admirably. I thought he did a good job. I believe he hit a sprint out pass to Jonathan Johnson up the sideline and really gave us a spark there. But it was a very difficult situation he went into the game, and I thought with the circumstances he did some good things. He was very, very poised, very calm, and very collected.
Danny in the back, then John Bryce.
But your predecessor says Alabama football under Coach Saban doesn't recruit, they draft. Just how talented of a team is this from top to bottom?
Very, very talented. They're as talented of a football team that we've faced so far. And you look at the number of NFL draft choices that will be in their football program, and that's the thing when NFL scouts come through. I always ask them about our opponent. How many draftable NFL players, how many NFL prospects does each program have? And they've been at the pinnacle with that. And there's a number of individuals on both sides of the ball that will have long and productive years in the National Football League. And that's a byproduct of recruiting and development and standing the test of time over a long period of time. And they've done a great job with that.
John Bryce, then Michael Spencer, then Steve again.
Butch, I think you've talked before about the 2013 game at Alabama being an eye-opener from a culture standpoint and the work that needed to be done within the program. How has the culture changed since then? How much different, I guess, is the level of belief that you guys can go down there and compete? And for you personally, how much has your understanding of the Alabama-Tennessee rivalry changed since 2 years ago when you were a part of it for the first time?
Well, I understand the importance of the rivalry. This game means a lot to both institutions, both universities, our fan bases, our players, so it means a lot. I've spoken about it as getting back to making the rivalry relevant again. Being in these football games for us, we're going to have to play great mistake-free football to get the game in the fourth quarter, and once you get a game into the fourth quarter, as we all know, anything can happen. In terms of a couple years ago, I think it's just a complete building of our football program, and there's a belief in winning, but there's also deserving to win, and it's more than just wanting to win or hoping to win. It's investing in victory. It's that belief that you're going to win. We have a lot of competitive young players in our football program. A lot of our players now understand the investment that it takes to win football games, but that just gives you an opportunity. Having great practices just gives you an opportunity to perform on Saturday. Now it's taking the practice and applying it to the game field. Our seniors have been through a lot. They understand what it is to win. So I think it's a whole football mindset in terms of, we're going over there to win a football game. That's what it's all about. Is it going to be a great challenge? Yes, but it's all about being elite. Working to be an elite football program, to be an elite football player, everything that goes into that term elite, and there's a lot of things that go into it. Obviously, Alabama's elite, but I know our players are excited and they're looking forward to the great challenge and great opportunity.
Michael Spencer in the back, then Steve, and then Rob Lewis.
Coach, to that end, how has Dobbs changed in the 2 years from when he started at Alabama to where he is today?
I think, first of all, you just have to look at the before and after pictures of his body, and just how much he's matured from a physicality standpoint, putting the extra weight that he needs on. Obviously, there's no experience for live game repetitions. He has those now. High level of confidence that he plays with, the confidence of players around him, and the confidence that he has in the players around him as well. So it's completely different, and Josh has earned that right because he's worked very hard with that.
Steve. And Rob Lewis, then Dustin.
There have been a couple interesting SEC non-conference results. Arkansas losing to Toledo, Ole Miss losing to Memphis last week. So how do you think overall the conference is compared to maybe previous seasons right now?
I think the conference is as competitive as it's ever been. Again, it's the weekly grind, week in and week out. And when I talk about it being every season's, every game is a new season, that's exactly what it is. And a lot of times, and I had a lot of people tell me this when we came here, is you start off in August and by October or November, you're not the same team that you were because of injuries. And depth becomes an issue with everything. But I think the mental grind, the physical grind of playing in this conference, and I continually say it, unless you've coached in this conference or played in this conference, you never really get a true sense of how challenging it is in terms of the physicality of this conference, but also the mental mindset, the fan bases, the passion of the fan bases, all that goes into it. Every move you make is scrutinized. Every move you make is shoulda, coulda, woulda. I had a coach call me Saturday night and said, it's great to hear everyone's advice on Monday, but give me your advice when you have 25 seconds to decide what you want to do on Saturday. And he kind of joked about it, but that's the passion that everyone has. And this is the best football conference in the country, and I think it speaks for itself.
Coach, with Kendrick and Jay Sean presumably coming back, do you still look at working Chance and Jack in there some, or is it, do you go in with a plan like that, or is it? No,
absolutely. Like I talked about with Seth a little bit, is I'll know a little bit more today. Today's just helmets and vests, so probably Tuesday and into Wednesday, we'll know Jay Sean's health. We'll know Brett's health is moving forward. But those individuals, Jack and Chance, will get valuable repetitions all week, and they'll be ready to play. And then we'll make that determination of what individuals give us the best opportunity to win. With our health and everything that goes into it, you're playing one of the most dominating defensive fronts in all of college football.
Dustin, and a few more.
Just beyond what you mentioned already, what else do you feel like you accomplished during the bye week? What else do you feel like you learned about your team during the bye week, besides what you mentioned already?
I thought the big test was Sunday with an 8 p.m. team meeting, which showed me a lot of the maturity of our football team. And we had everyone sitting in their seats at 7:45. And to me, that showed me the maturity. We had one individual who got in an accident, so he had a fender bender, so he was late. But other than that, it showed me the maturity of our football team, of getting back, being able to handle some time off. So I thought that was great to see, and that's a big part of it. I thought our health came at the right time. Now it's what do we do with it? What do we do with our health? How do we approach practice today? But the fundamentals and fine details, really being able to go back even in the special teams game and work some drill work, working to be everything that Mike and I just spoke about in terms of the fundamental details, the tackling, winning your space, winning your one-on-one matchups, all those things. We were able to do that and get a jump start on Alabama as well. Huh? It's not really important. All I know is he's safe and he backed up into a pole, so.
In the back.
Coach, talk just a minute about the running game's motivation coming up, as particularly Alvin Kamara's motivation for this game.
Right. Well, Alvin's as competitive of a young man as we have in our football program. And, I know when he does talk about his time at Alabama, he talks about the respect that he has for that football program. He still has a number of friends on that football team. But really, we don't talk about it a lot. Alvin is a very determined, very confident young man, but he's very focused and very determined. And he doesn't talk much about the past. Everything is about the present and moving forward, and that's what I like about him. So I don't see his approach changing at all from this game to any other game. In terms of the run game, that's something that we take great pride in. Obviously, we've made marked progress with that this year, and we're going to be challenged on Saturday.
Anybody else? Steve? Mike Strange?
Dobbs done a nice job of avoiding interceptions this year, but obviously Alabama had 3 pick sixes Saturday. What is it about their defense that enables them to be so good at kind of taking the ball away?
Complete defense. It starts up front. They've been very fortunate to win the line of scrimmage battle. They've been able to put pressure on the quarterback with all their line twists and line stunts, and they do a great job with that. They use their hands very, very well on defense, particularly up front. So they've been able to impact the quarterback with applying pressure. I think it starts up front. They're more athletic than what they've been in the past at linebacker. They do a great job being able to break and drive on the ball. And then I think moving Jackson to safety has really helped them from an athleticism standpoint. And they play with a lot of confidence, and they break and drive on the ball. They impact the quarterback, and very well coached, and you can see that.
Mike Strange, and then Wes, and then Patrick, and that'll be it.
Butch, I don't know how much football you got to watch this weekend, but you know, every weekend in college football, there's just bizarre plays and games turn on one play, and certainly you've seen that with your team this year. But like that Michigan State play, as a head coach, when it happens to you, or when you watch it, I mean, how do you process that? That you know, everything you put into a game can turn on one crazy play.
Well, that's football. And I've said it, is that's why the ball's not round. It's shaped that way, and it can take crazy bounces. And that's why games are never over with until they're over with, and that's not coach speak. You know, you sit there as an outsider, as a fan, and you watch, and you can see the anguish and hurt and frustration in the eyes of the coach. You feel for him, and then I said, heck, we've had 3 games this year. I don't feel sorry because we've been through a lot. But you try to, we have a book, I have a journal, and you try to practice every situation. And that's, I think, what makes football such a great game is every week there's something new. There's something that you can improve on. There's something maybe we can, as coaches, do a better job of really putting our players in those end-of-the-game situations. If you think about it, end-of-the-game situations, you practice it all the time with your place kicker. You're trying to apply pressure. You're trying to play things like that. You know, in terms of the punter, how much do you do it? You know, prior to watching that game, you know, we had an 11-man down situation to win the Big East Championship when we were at Cincinnati against UConn. So we've been in that moment before. So we make that a point. Every Monday we practice that. But, you know, that's something that when you watch these games, there's little instances that occur that you chart and you make sure that you practice those. But that's what makes this game so special, because each week there is something different. And we have found that out the hard way here. But I think you can also get better from it and learn from it and continue to progress and move on.
Wes, and then Patrick.
But obviously you've got some young guys playing some key spots for you. And Tuscaloosa can be a tough place to play. But how much will that experience at Florida help those guys?
Anytime you play in a venue that's very, very challenging, I think it helps. So we do have that. Players, I anticipate them going into Tuscaloosa and having great confidence with road focus in playing in that type of environment because they've done it before. So the confidence standpoint, I think, will be there because we've been through that. We've done that. We practice with crowd noise all the time, but as you know, you can simulate it, but until you get into, you know, that type of venue, a lot of these individuals will be walking in to the stadium for the first time of not being there. But in terms of the environment and playing in a hostile environment, we've been able to do that now. But that's life on the road in the SEC every time you go on the road.
How about with Dobbs in particular? It seems like the way he kind of carries himself, he's real low key kind of most of the time. He doesn't really seem to get up or down. Seems to administer the game properly.
Right.
How much of a benefit is that to the offense in a situation like that?
Well, it does. He's a straight-lined individual. He's never too high. He's never too down, and I think that provides stability for your offense, for your players. They know what to expect. Josh is very consistent in his approach, but I also thought he grew up a lot last week against Georgia. He was really holding players accountable in a very, very positive fashion, a very constructive fashion, which was great to see. That's what we need from him. I thought he was in control, but that's Josh Dobbs. But I thought from a leadership standpoint and a mentality standpoint, I thought, he's done a good job with that, but I thought he took it to another level in the Georgia game, and we're going to continue to need that as the season progresses.
Patrick for the last one.
Butch, it looked like Khalil in the second half of the Georgia game played quite a bit and
Yeah.
made quite a bit of an impact. Is he at the point where he can play 8-10 snaps in a row, and is he kind of an every down guy now? How do you kind of see him developing at this point?
Well, with our limited depth at the defensive tackle spot, we're going to need that from him. And you're exactly right. We thought he played his best game of his short Tennessee career so far in the Georgia game, particularly in the second half. And he has done a very good job of creating great football stamina. We're going to need him to be able to give us, a number of plays in a row. But again, the confidence that was gained in that game is great for him moving forward, and he's worked very hard in practice. And again, here's a youngster who did not play his senior year. So he's going through missing his senior year, and then he missed half a training camp with an injury as well. So now he's kind of getting into that structure, that routine, and you can see him progressing and getting better and better and better with his fundamentals, his details, the use of his hands, and his football stamina. So we anticipate his role in this football team continuing to grow and grow and grow, and we need that because we have lack of depth there.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you.